Oh my goodness, today has been an absolute carnage, chaos, all of the above. And then we get more news. I was just about to put together my nice little daily news video, and then I realised there's more breaking, isn't there? Of course, around Christian Horner. Who else? What's going on, Jared? I hope you guys are good, Bert, Philo, Alder. Go on, let's get into this then. I'm reading out the, again, trusted source on this, Andrew Benson, reports for the BBC that the woman in the Christian Horner controversy has lodged an official complaint about his behaviour with Formula One's governing body, the FIA. And this is chaos, of course. This is carnage. And again, it's a very serious matter. I should probably wipe the smile away from my face because there is an accuser and a victim in this, potentially, allegedly. We don't know what we're talking to, right? Although when it's BBC reporting it, you kind of almost got to take it as read and written. BBC has learned, continues Andrew Benson, that the complainant who accused Red Bull team principal of inappropriate behaviour has registered a grievance with the FIA's ethics committee. This is bloody chaos now. Official now. Formal now, and I don't know what to make of it. And again, remember the backdrop, which I'm sure Andrew Benson is going to get into in short order in his article, is that a complaint was made against Christian Horner for alleged line stepping, misconduct, inappropriate behaviour. And this has gone on for months now, not weeks. This dates back to Brazil last year, when you'll remember that Christian Horner was whisked off in rapid, expeditious fashion from the Brazilian Grand Prix to go and have a meeting with the Evija family, the 51% owners of Red Bull. At the time, we all thought that this was Checo Perez related to his underperformance and who was going to take that second seat for Red Bull Racing in 2024. But rumour and reports allege now that initial meeting between the Thai 51% owners of Red Bull Racing, or Red Bull Group even, and Christian Horner was related to this matter. It's been going on longer than reports have alluded to. Then we get the news that this complainant is potentially going to raise this with legal proceedings in the UK, and then that goes away apparently, and then it gets raised again. 650,000 GBP is the apparent settlement, and then that goes away again, and then we get the official investigation led by a King's Counsel, so a barrister, who then goes away for 2 to 3 weeks after conducting interviews and gathering evidence, goes away for a few weeks, comes back, and then Christian Horner, we learn, per the independent, privately led investigation, that Christian Horner is exonerated. That's where we are. And then Christian Horner goes through the paddock peacocking, and then the latest and greatest bombshell in all this is that somebody in the know, potentially Jos Verstappen, allegedly, depending on who you're talking to, potentially Helmut Marko, allegedly, depending on who you're talking to, leaks all of the bloody messages that are relating to this, that are the source, in fact, of this investigation in the first place. Dialogue, allegedly, between Christian Horner and the complainant. And again, this is where we're talking about line stepping, some of its innuendo and flirt, all of that stuff. You guys will have all seen it. Okay, so we are where we are. And Christian Horner does his PR, puts his best PR foot forward, and turns up to the Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah Corniche circuit with his wife, who's doing on a do's, smiling through gritted teeth. But again, that's what has to happen, right? The wife has to be the good wife in front of the world's press and media, to show, almost as if it even matters, but to show a united front, to make sure, to ram it home that Christian is the innocent party in all this. And we don't, it's just all speculation and conjecture, isn't it? Still, we don't know. And then we get the news. Excuse me, my eyes going crazy here. 59 if you're watching Concurrent, do me a favour and smash the like, por favor. Then we get the news that there's a power struggle at Red Bull Racing, and it's kicking off. That Helmut Marko and Jos Verstappen and Max Verstappen are on one side of the fence, sat there with the Austrian leg of Red Bull Group being Oliver Mintzlaff and Mark Mateschitz, the son of now deceased owner, the 49% guy. They're all on one side of the fence, and on the other side of the fence you've got the Thai family, the Evija family, Charlem Evija and Christian Horner, who's fostered brilliant brilliantly fostered rapport with that Thai family who critically own 51% of the company. Now, here's where that matters. Previous to Dietrich's death, he would have overseen all of these decisions, all of the human resources nuance. Now, though, he hadn't delegated that prior to his death, so hence you've got this power vacuum. Nobody knows who's responsible. Scheme of delegation, where is that? So ultimately, when things like this are being decided as far as a private, because they're not limited, right? This isn't me and you can't go and buy shares in Red Bull Racing. So that means that ultimately the decision makers in this are the 51% owners, right? The majority shareholders. And luckily for Christian Horner, they love him. They see him as almost an adopted son, almost. He is them and they are him. And Red Bull is him. They're synonymous, almost. They are synonyms. Look at me. Come on, Cameron. Get it together, Cameron. Talk English, Cameron. Not Albert. They are synonyms of each other per se. So let me get back to this article now. BBC has learned the complainant who accused Red Bull team principal of inappropriate behaviour has registered a grievance with the FIA's ethics committee. Now it gets techie because, again, important context in and of all this is that Mohammed bin Sulayem, overstepping his FIA remit, as he likes to do, has asked in explicit terms that Max Verstappen do a 180, because Max Verstappen hitherto has been very caveated as far as his approach to defending Christian Horner whilst all this is going on. In stark contrast to the other Red Bull Racing driver, Checo Perez, who's been very explicit, unqualified in his support for Christian Horner. And it's techie that. And it's techie because Mohammed bin Sulayem, as a result of that, has come out and said to Max Verstappen in no uncertain terms, why don't you come out and back team principal Christian Horner without those caveats, in unequivocal terms? And that's overstepping massively, isn't it? Massively overstepping the thing, because that's not your place. And I know that Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone would always do one of these things. There were massive, always backroom deals et al. Back in the day. But now it's 2024. You can't afford to have that. FIA is meant to be open and honest. We race as one, etc., etc. So that it leaks that Mohammed bin Sulayem has tried to coerce Red Bull driver, three-time champion Max Verstappen, into coming out and doing something that he doesn't want to do. In taking arms against his father, Jos Verstappen, is just poor form. Really, really poor form. But the FIA had said via Mohammed bin Sulayem that they were going to, listen, we're in no rush to investigate this. Let's see how it plays out. Collect all the information. Red Bull are a limited company, but now with this news, they can't do that any longer. Their hand has been forced, per Andrew Benson of the BBC. BBC Sport has learned that one was made to the FIA Ethics and Compliance Hotline on February the 2nd and made direct reference to Horner's behaviour toward a female employee, asked the FIA to look into it and expressed a fear that Red Bull would try to cover it up. Oh my God, the bombshell. This is crazy. Fabrizio, I don't think we're going to get the full details, because again, ultimately, the FIA are under no obligation to leak those to the public. But they are going to have to investigate it now. Now, we can argue back and forth the extent to which this investigation may or may not be transparent. The FIAs are, listen, it's always been a bit shadowy, but they're going to have to investigate it. A complaint's been made. The second complaint, so 2 complaints. Oh my goodness, look at this. 2 complaints. The second complaint was made on 6th of March and referenced the first and warned that the whistleblower would next inform them. Oh my God, look at that. So they were warned. They were warned. If you don't do anything, FIA, we're going to leak everything to the media. And that's what's happened, right? Clearly they saw that the FIA weren't going to. So this isn't now. This is like 6th of March. It's the 16th today. So this has all been going on in the background. And the FIA, it feels like, if Andrew Benson of the BBC is to be believed, they're covering it up as well. they're involved in the cover-up operation. How could Mohammed bin Sulayem be privy to this information, yet and still be encouraging Max Verstappen to come out before the world's press and media, turn against his dad publicly, and back Christian Horner unequivocally? How does this tally? Unless the FIA are keen to just cover it all up and, as you were, BAU, to quote the now infamous Christian Horner. The FIA has not responded, continues Benson, to requests for comment on all these matters. A Red Bull Racing spokesperson said it was not aware of the complaint and it did not want to comment further. Well, of course not. Oh, it's gonna take it out. Yeah, take it. Oh, the official complaint made by the woman to the FIA follows her decision to appeal against Red Bull's dismissal of her complaint. She will ask Red Bull to consider its decision, which was made after an investigation conducted by a lawyer. Last week, Red Bull suspended her from her role with the team. The accusations against Horner came to light in early February. Horner said it's time to draw a line under the controversy. Well, not just yet, mate. And all this, the timing of all this is chaotic, right? We're less than 7 days away from the Australian Grand Prix and Horner's going to have to rock up with all this in tow. I have a hot take here though, guys and girls. The FIA won't do anything here. What are the FIA going to do? Mohammed bin Sulayem has already played his cards in this. They're not going to do anything. Why, with that knowledge, would they come out and ask Max Verstappen to back unequivocally his father? With that knowledge, at the point when Mohammed bin Sulayem's made that request of three-time champion Max Verstappen, son of Yos, they would have already had knowledge of this complaint of the FIA, now FIA complainant. The Times writes, got to compare and contrast some articles here, haven't we? Because this is too much chaos. Right, go on, let's have a look what the Times is saying. Let's go. The female employee who has accused the Red Bull team principal, Christian Horner, of controlling behaviour has now lodged an official complaint about his conduct to the FIA. On Friday, the Times writes, the female employee launched an appeal, for the same thing. The employee's official complaint to the FIA is expected to reignite the debate as to the influence of motorsport's world governing body on the matter. The FIA has been approached for comment. The FIA has not commented publicly since Horner 51 was cleared of wrongdoing before the opening race of the season, but it is understood that Mohammed bin Sulayem, the FIA president, has encouraged Max Verstappen, for the avoidance of doubt, Red Bull's World Championship driver, to back his under fire team principal in a conversation after qualifying at the Bahrain Grand Prix. There's been growing frustration within the paddock that neither FIA nor Formula One, the commercial rights holders, intervened. Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team principal, and Zak Brown, the McLaren chief executive, were among those who called for yet more transparency around the case. Oh my gosh. They're going to have to do something now, aren't they? But are they going to have to do something? Will they do something? Of course they should do something, but this is the FIA, for Pete's sake. If they haven't done something already, when already in possession of this information, the second complaint of which was made on March the 6th, then what do we expect them to do? The Times continues, both Ben Sulayem and Stefano Domenicali, the chief executive of F1, held crisis talks with Horner before the race in Bahrain. True, where he's understood to have reassured them of the steps that both he and Red Bull were taking to minimise the public damage to reputation as well. So here's where it's techie now. If you're holding an investigation, you see how Red Bull, whatever you want to say, ostensibly from the outside, Red Bull's, okay, so maybe they should have suspended Christian Horner, but you hold an investigation, right? An independent investigation, and you conduct it unknowing to the related parties. The investigation shouldn't look like this. Stefano Domenicali and Mohammed bin Sulayem can't call Christian Horner into office and just ask him if everything's okay. What are you doing to manage the reputational hazard and downside, Christian? That's not the investigation. In fact, the investigation should take place independent of Christian Horner. Surely Shouldn't be asking Christian Horner questions about what are we doing. And that makes me know what the Times has just said there, that all that Stefano Domenicali and Mohammed bin Salem, the FIA and the commercial rights holders, are concerned about is the reputational downside. This isn't about true or false. This isn't about whether the accusations are verifiable. This is about this is selfishness. All they're concerned about is the downside impact on F1 as a sporting brand, as an entity, going concern. I state again, for the avoidance of that, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, that's what's going to be written on F1's epitaph. And it stinks, doesn't it? I mean, what? We race as one, yeah? Behave yourself. It's an absolute nonsense here, and I don't know. Sometimes you got to ask yourself the question, right? Yeah, shout out to Toto. Shout out to Toto and Zach Brown for not kind of cowering, not shying their gaze away from the ever confrontational Christian Horner. The Times continues, there is understood to have been a reluctance from the FIA and F1 to comment given the Red Bull Austria has kept the details of the investigation and its findings entirely confidential. Well, no more, because you've got the complaint yourself now, FIA. What's the next play? Other than the short statement it put out when Horner was exonerated, a spokesman for Red Bull GmbH, that's group, insisted the investigation had been fair, rigorous and impartial. But they've got to sense check that now, haven't they? That you can't just take Red Bull's word for it. Either sense check it or go away and do your own investigation. FIA, as the safeguarder of the sport, of the regulatory body. Why can't I talk today? BBC Sport has reported that before the official complaint to the FIA was lodged, 2 previous whistleblower reports were made to the governing body in reference to Horner's alleged behaviour towards a female employee. Those who participate in F1, here we go. Now we're drawing for articles. Those who participate in F1 must abide by its International Sporting Code, Article 12.2. All right. Article 12.2. If the code states that a competitor, any words, deeds or writings that have caused moral injury or loss to the FIA, its bodies, its members or its executive officers, and more generally on the interest of motorsport and its values defended, the FIA. I'm telling you, this is going to get chaotic. I can't wait to see how this is going to work out. I will be honest. But I mean, it's the FIA. So what else would you expect? They will sweep this under the rug and continue about their business as is BAU, to quote Christian Horner. We'll see. Can't help but feel disappointed in and amongst all of this furore, the way that the FIA, the regulatory body of F1, are conducting their behaviour. It stinks. My heart goes out to the victims in all this, and potentially the alleged complainant is one of those. But we will see. Stay tuned, eh? But for now, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.